Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here at the Missouri Firearms Coalition with the MOFC 2024 General Election Recap video. Guys, there's no two ways of saying this. This election was the biggest statement that gun owners have ever made in this country, at least certainly in modern time. What happened on election night will never be forgotten. Gun owners who have spent 4 years under the terror of the Biden White House, under a weaponized Department of Justice, under a weaponized ATF, finally had our chance to stand up on Tuesday night and send a message that we will not live under tyranny like this. We are not some third world crap hole, as Trump has said. We're America. We have a God-given right to keep and bear arms. We're not going to let anybody take that away from us. We're going to break down what happened in the presidential race, discuss the U.S. Senate for a few moments in the House, and then dive into the details on what happened right here in Missouri, where we had a chance to send a message of our own in some of these very competitive races. Guys, if you haven't heard yet, the current number as of Friday afternoon, President Trump is sitting on 295 electoral college votes. Now, that's where he is today, but we're waiting for Nevada and Arizona. He's leading in both of those states right now by a decent margin, all things considered. And there's a pretty strong chance he's going to wind up with 312 electoral college votes. It's an absolute blowout. Which, frankly, most of us expected. When it comes to the popular vote, so often the Democrats cry on election night because their candidate often wins the popular vote. Our candidate often wins the electoral college vote. That wasn't an issue on Tuesday night because Trump did not just win electoral college. He is currently 4 million more votes in the bank than Kamala Harris had. He destroyed her in the popular vote as well. So, a complete blowout. Here in Missouri, 58.5% of the vote went to President Trump compared to 40.1% for cackling Kamala Harris. I'm so thankful, no matter what else we say here today, I'm so thankful to not have to hear that cackle for the next 4 years in the media. It would be horrific. So thank God for that. In the Senate, this was a huge goal for gun owners as well, because for the last couple of years, we've had a 49-seat minority in that chamber. We had Chuck Schumer from New York ran the chamber. The question was never really if we're going to get the majority back. That was always more or less assumed because West Virginia and Montana were going to head our direction. The question is, how big would the majority be? And as of right now, we have 53 seats in the Republican conference. Sherrod Brown lost his race in Ohio, and Bob Casey got kicked out in Pennsylvania. So we currently have 53, but many people expect that Nevada will swing our direction as well if they ever decide to finish counting their votes. If that happens, that's 54. And honestly, there is still a chance that Arizona goes our way and that Kari Lake might win that race as well, kind of being dragged across the finish line by President Trump. If that happens, it would be a jaw-dropping 55 seats for the Republican Party in the Senate. The real issue here is we had to get at least 53. And the reason for it is very simple. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, these two rhino, backstabbing, traitorous Republicans have always been harmful to the Second Amendment, and they frankly have been harmful to President Trump during his first term in office as well. If we had a 52-seat majority or a 51-seat majority, those two senators could effectively block whatever they wanted to block. And so by having 53, likely 54, possibly 55, those two can sit in the back corner of the chamber and sulk all they want. They're going to have no power at all now in the United States Senate. So huge victory there as well. And right now in the House, as of right now, it's not been called. But we think as of right now, we're going to have somewhere between 218 to 220 seats that are in Republican hands once session begins, once the new Congress convenes, next year. Now, 218 is the magic number to have control of the chamber, but it doesn't give you any ability to actually get stuff done, because if all the Democrats are against you, and if one Republican is against you, you got a real problem. And so that is the fact right now. We have a bunch of terrible scoundrels in the Republican conference coming back after the election here in November. For example, in Pennsylvania, you've got a Republican, Brian Fitzpatrick, who's been sponsoring Joe Biden's gun control for the last couple of years in Congress. So 218 is not a very good number when it comes to passing legislation. But honestly, the real deal, all we had to have was 218 on our side, because if the Democrats had 218, they would spend the next 2 years again trying to ruin President Trump with another bogus impeachment investigation. And they would tie up Trump's time and its energy for the next 2 years. So we're not going to have a decisive majority no matter what. But if we simply had 218, it would take that power out of Hakeem Jeffries' hands. And we need that very badly, in my opinion, going forward. So a great night in D.C. But what about Missouri? Let's bring it back home. One of the biggest pickups of the night had to be in Independence. This is near Kansas City. This is northwestern Missouri. District 11, Senate District 11. This is an open seat race. Senator Rizzo was termed out, and he actually resigned from office after session ended for the year. And you got Robert Saul, Democrat state rep Robert Saul, running against Joe Nicola. Again, it's been a Democrat seat. The map was redrawn, and it's now very, very competitive. So most organizations focused their firepower on that race, and we sure did here too at the Missouri Firearms Coalition. We hammered that seat with digital ads, text, email, and a bunch of our guys went door to door, house to house, passing out flyers to make sure that everyone knew that Robert Sauls was a lefty, gun-grabbing lunatic who was always opposing our gun rights in the Missouri House, and he would continue to do so if he was sent to the Senate on election night. It was a huge victory, guys. Joe Nicola won 52-48. Nicola surveyed 100% with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. He's a great guy. He's going to be a huge asset, we believe, to gun owners in the Senate going forward. So a big pickup for gun owners there. Now, if you want to be technical about it, we lost a seat over near Columbia where Caleb Rowden used to be in office. He termed out as well. Democrats picked up that seat. But to be very honest with you, Caleb's been a very, very clear Democrat provocateur in the Senate for a very long time. He's been the number one enemy to gun owners for a long time. So, well, the party lost a seat there. Freedom didn't lose anything because Caleb was no friend, and the incoming Democrat will also be no friend. So those two seats crisscrossed. As a result, we have a 24-10 majority for the Republicans again next year, as we have for the last couple of years. Other big races of note in the Senate, David Gregory had a big victory in St. Louis County. This seat's been kind of trending left for a while, and there's a lot of concern about this race for, frankly, the entire election cycle. We focus pretty hard here in this race because David Gregory, state rep, who ran for this open Senate seat, he's always voted pro-gun, and he surveyed 100% with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. But Joe Peerless, he calls himself Fearless Joe Peerless, is about as radical as they come. He's endorsed by Michael Bloomberg, and he would back the entire program. Gun seizures, red flag laws, AR-15 bans, everything. Repeal stand your ground law, repeal constitutional carry. He's a starry-eyed radical, and we're very pleased to announce that after I think we contacted 72,000 voters in this race, Gregory slaughtered, frankly, Peerless by a 5-point margin, which is a huge margin in state races, 52-47%. So Joe Peerless can go back to whatever hole he crawled out of to run for this seat because gun owners crushed his dreams as well. A big win for gun voters also in St. Charles County, where Adam Schnelting is going to be replacing Bill Eigel in district number 23. Adam's been a relentless fighter for gun owners for the last 6 years in the House. He's one of the best. Matt Williams, Democrat candidate, is terrible. Utterly, completely terrible, and did not matter. He is not going to have his chance because Adam picked up the seat on Tuesday night, aided by a bunch of pissed off gun owners who wanted to send a message. Other House races of note, Bill Hardwick, MOFC ally in the House, and Ben Baker, MOFC ally in the House, both won their re-elections. Hardwick is from the Rolla area, and Ben is near Joplin area. These guys both had Democrat opponents who did not like their support for gun rights, and guess what? They're all crushed and destroyed. They're gone. And so we have a 111-52 seat majority in the House. Next year, the exact same number we had for the last 2 years. So the net difference is 0 in both the House and the Senate when it comes to the size of our majorities heading into next year. So major victory for gun owners. The question now, as always, is what will come of this? What's going to happen? Gun voters did our part, and boy, did we ever, in the primary and the general. We did our part. I forgot to even mention the congressional races. Bob Onder won a huge victory for the 3rd Congressional. You got Denny Hoskins, who is great on guns. He is now our incoming Secretary of State. You've got David Wassinger as our Lieutenant Governor. Mike Kehoe destroyed Crystal Quaid, and his stance on guns is very strong. So tremendous victories at the statewide level as well. So the question is, what happens in Jeff City going forward? Well, a couple things. First, this is what we want to see happen. Okay, we have a 4-part wish list here. Number 1, we need to pass IP reform. Now, if you're a gun owner who has not been tracking this, let me explain this to you very simply. You just watched Amendment 3 pass here in Missouri. Amendment 3 was the abortion amendment, and it passed with about 52.3% of the vote. This was the big trial balloon for the left. And now that they passed this, I can assure you their agenda for 2026 will include putting gun control into the Missouri state constitution. It's that simple. They did it now. They've proven their concept with Amendment 3. They're going to come back, and they're going to put gun registration in there, or God knows what else, if we do not deal with IP reform. The GOP in the Senate, a couple of them destroyed this effort last session. Not going to discuss that all right now. But if we do not deal with IP reform, and I mean quickly, in 2025, we're going to see gun control on the ballot in 2026. Now, will they pass it? I don't know. Amendment 3 was a different issue by far, and gun rights polls far higher here in Missouri. But the point is, we should never even get to that point in the first place. The GOP should shut this down and shut it down hard. That's number 1. Number 2, SAPA cleanup. Everyone knows the courts have struck down Missouri's SAPA law. But as we said relentlessly in videos and emails and direct mail to our members, they did not have a problem with the idea of SAPA. They had a problem with the language of the preamble. So we have a very complex scheme. We're going to cut out the preamble, and we're going to keep the rest of it. That's our cleanup for 2025. A lot of folks want to get this done, and I mean in the General Assembly, and we're going to push hard for that next session. By the way, in case you haven't heard this yet, as President Trump begins to assemble his team, one of the questions is, who's going to replace that spineless little weasel, Merrick Garland, for United States Attorney General? If you haven't heard, one of the names on the short list is our own Andrew Bailey. He is on the list along with 3 other names, and frankly, I think he's the best of the entire bunch. And while it would suck to lose him here in Missouri, can you imagine passing things like SAPA cleanup bills here in Missouri and not have the Department of Justice come after us? In fact, to have an attorney general who supports the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment, and the entire Constitution. What a novel idea. So fingers crossed, and more information to come as we have it on that situation. Number 3 is enhanced stand your ground law. We have holes in our self-defense laws. We got to fix that. And number 4, we need to ban red flag laws in Missouri forever. We've blocked this bill for a long time. When the Democrats try to pass red flags, our goal now is to ban red flags forever in this state. Other red states have. It's time we do it as well. The question is, what's going to happen in Jeff City? Because these bills have been pushed before. They've been blocked for the last couple of years by Dean Plocker as Speaker of the House. They've been blocked for the last couple of years by Caleb Rowden as the Senate President. We have a brand new team running the Senate now for next session. We have two new leaders in that chamber. And we have a new incoming House leadership team. We have high hopes on the Senate side. High hopes. We'll find out. The House side, we're going to have to wait and see, because John Patterson, as you guys probably remember from last session, has not been a friend at all to gun owners. In fact, after the Super Bowl parade shooting in February, it was John Patterson who tried to move a form of red flag gun seizures on the House floor. We crushed that effort. He's not very happy about that. We don't really care The question is, will he push forward on gun rights in 25 or will he block gun rights in 2025? Much more on that in the days ahead. But guys, none of this is possible without your support. Your support allowed us to hammer on gun grabbers in the primary and the general. We have notched major victories for gun rights here in Missouri. It's going to be one hell of a session in 2025. Much more to come in the days ahead. For now, just please take my deepest thank you for all of your support for the Missouri Firearms Coalition for the last year. It means a lot, guys. Gear up. There's big fights coming. Be in touch.